the State 48 podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Matthews, bringing you all things AZ. And it's pretty cool for me today to be able to welcome AZ native, Arizona Cardinal, and my good friend, Devon Kennard. So thank you so much for joining us
today. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, a little backstory with us. So we were best friends growing up, probably, sixth grade, seventh grade? Yep. We have some stories, but we're not going to get into all that today. Grew up together. You were in our wedding as the best man. And then obviously just being able to follow you along this journey has been so special. Being able to play here in the Valley, just root harder for the Arizona. We really bleed Arizona Cardinals, obviously, but just so fun to be able to follow you along this journey, not only being a representative of the Cardinals, but also an entrepreneur. So that's what we're all about here at State 48.
I love it. Well, I'm glad to be here. You know, I've heard so much about State 48, so seeing the headquarters and being able to hang out with you guys, it's a pleasure.
We're going to get you hooked up today. You don't have a shirt yet, but, you know, after this, you're going to be
right. I'm about to get right.
We like to have some fun on the show. And since you're basically family, we usually do like another game, but I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
All right.
And see how much, because you're native. We're natives here. How much you know about Arizona?
Oh, boy.
Did you listen in school? You have a master's degree, so you be listening. Okay. First question. Which national park has a north rim, a south rim, and a big hole in between? Come on, Devon. Come on. A big hole, like the biggest hole.
Grand Canyon.
There you go. Yay, ding, ding, ding. When you like to... Do you have a buzzer back there? What is the state flower? I'm going to give you multiple choice here. A saguaro cactus bloom, a daisy, a sunflower, or petunia?
Saguaro cactus.
Boom. Nailed it. What year did the D-backs win the World Series? You know this. Come on.
Goodness. I remember watching the game, everything. For some reason, I want to say 01.
Yes.
Yes,
good job. Yes. I'm like, you were in 5th grade. Come on. Okay, this one you should know. If not, the Arizona Cardinals originated in what city?
St. Louis.
Nope.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They went to St. Louis after really good pizza.
Chicago?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Originated in Chicago, St. Louis, and then the Phoenix Cardinals. See, you learned something today. Okay, this one is a little trick question. AZ became the blank state in 1912.
48th.
There you go. That's why we are
State 48,
State
baby.
48. Okay, you got one wrong. I kind of helped you with the first one. That was a little help there.
I had to think. I don't know why it took me so long. Because I didn't think about the Grand Canyon as a national state park, but then it triggered for me.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Well, you still did good. I'm proud of you. Yeah, you do have a master's, so I was hoping that you listened in school. I know you were always like the honor
history
roll
was not my thing, but I figured it out.
You made it work. Okay, so you obviously, I know your background, but for a lot of people who don't know, you come from a football family. Your pops played football actually for the Arizona Cardinals. Your brother's been training you since you were basically in diapers.
Yeah.
So did you always know that you wanted to be a football player, or what did little DK want to do?
I think for me, it started out when my dad played in the Super Bowl here in Arizona. Yep. So everything kind of funnels back to Arizona for me because it was Super Bowl XXX. I forget what number that is. I just 30? Remember the X 30.
Wait,
yeah, 30.
Yeah,
so Super Bowl 30, and Dad won a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys here at ASU, ASU Stadium when they used to play back there. And it's been a dream of mine since then. There's actually a picture in Sports Illustrated with me on my dad's shoulders after he won the Super Bowl. And I feel like that was the first moment I really remember where it's like, I want to have this moment, you know, for myself with my kids and stuff one day. And I feel like I've been chasing that dream ever since.
So there's never something else that came into your mind, like, okay, if not football, I'll be...
I used to want to be in the NBA. So
God, I remember your YMCA days.
Hey, if anybody want that smoke, we can go to LA Fitness.
Oh, no, I remember.
And, your husband, Luke, he's one of my best friends. We be hooping. It gets real competitive out there. So I feel like if I was taller, I probably would have chased the NBA over the NFL. I just started to realize body type wise, the NFL was probably the better option.
We used to fight all the time about basketball. I mean, you used to you were aggressive when we played. You didn't care. I was like,
anybody can get that smoke. You can still get that smoke.
If I recall too, okay, so obviously big guy linebacker, Did you play offense in high school?
Yeah,
like
I did.
Fullback?
Yeah, I played fullback and tailback, and I was just trying to truck people. So anybody got in my way, I wanted like a sweep and let me run over a corner and
what
stuff.
If Cliff was like, yo, I have this amazing offensive plan this week against the Eagles.
You know what?
I need you in there for the fullback.
I don't want anybody to hit me with the mentality I have when I'm hitting somebody. So I decided a long time ago. Yeah. I like doing the hitting. I'm not trying to take those hits.
I'm not trying to do that either. That's true. I just can't even imagine you at this doing that. Well, I do remember growing up, it was always, you talked about USC. I want to go to USC, although Sun Devil over here. I was surprised you didn't text me the other day after the game.
I left it.
You always text me.
I spared you.
You always do. And I was like, babe, Devon's about to text me something right now. I'm getting real mad. But always USC was on the forefront of your mind. You wanted to go there. So what was that like, just fulfilling that dream and becoming a Trojan?
I think it was a, surreal moment. I just remember even being at Desert Vista where we went to school and having Pete Carroll come, and I remember I was in math class and he's knocking on the window asking for me to come out. And, those moments and stuff I'll kind of remember forever, because I did want to go there growing up. It's when they had like Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and all those people. And I knew I wanted to I grew up here, but I felt like a part of my growing up was going to be going away from home for a little while. So I knew I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to go too far. So LA, that was the one place my family and I would vacation that I remember growing up. So it was kind of a comfort thing. And then just so happened the Trojans were as good as they were when we were growing up. And it was my dream. So to have those moments and to get that offer and be able to go live out my dreams and playing for the Trojans was like, man, I couldn't believe it was the first time I kind of saw like affirmations in my life. Like that's what I always said I wanted to do. Yeah. I put all my intentions on making that happen. And, by the grace of God and then willpower and work ethic, kind of seeing those things come into fruition, it started to give me confidence.
Yeah. It's always hard. You don't want the hometown guy leaving. We always talk about keeping the talent here in AZ, but knowing that was your dream and just to see that fulfilled just from the outside it was just amazing, just watching it all come together. You talked about, wanting to grow from that experience and you having that mindset early on, like, okay, I don't necessarily want to leave. I'm sure you could have chosen ASU, but I'm sure, you had that mindset already, like this is going to benefit me down the road. How do you think it has so far? And obviously looking at your span of your career and just having that experience.
I would say I'm a mama's boy, and I needed to get away from moms for a little bit. ASU, I grew up going to games. It was right down the street. All my friends, including you, went there, and I felt like that was going to be the comfortable and the easy thing for me to do, but I just felt a calling that I needed to get out of my comfort zone and to do something new and different, and it was scary. I remember my first year I stayed on campus at the dorms, but the second year I moved out, and some people lived downtown LA, but it was too expensive and I didn't want to have to ask my parents for money. Yeah. So me and one of my best friends, we got a place kind of in the hood, because if anybody knows where USC is, it's in the middle of the hood. And I remember my first time riding home from practice one day. It was late. Sun just went down and there's a fight breaking out at the end of my street, and people are getting in a fight, and I just remember rushing into my my little Mom? Apartment, and I'm like, I am not an Awatuki anymore. Nope. This is reality. So I had to make sure I would always for the first couple of months, I always put my USC hoodie on, and I made sure I said hi to everybody in the block and make sure hey, I'm here for football. I play for the Trojans, trying to make friends with everybody. And from then on, it was cool. They kind of left me and my roommate alone, but that was a moment where I was like, all right, it made me kind of grow up and expand. Everywhere is different, and I took a lot from that.
You're on Scully, but you got bills to pay. It's like real life all at once, and it's a full-time job being a football player in that program. So
going to really in college in general, but, learning it was my first experience on learning how to budget and how much money can I spend without on the stipend without asking my parents for more money. And I'm away from home. I can't just drive home 15 minutes and be look at my dad's wallet and be like, Dad, can you give me a 20? It was figuring stuff out for myself. And then on the football field, field, playing with some of the best talent. I remember when I first came in, the defensive end in front of me was Everson Griffin, who's another Arizona native, and I'm going against Tyron Smith, who's an all-pro left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys for years, potential Hall of Famer, and that's what I was going against every day at practice. So I felt like it made me grow up quick on and off the field, and you know, I went during a tough time. So, you know, growing up and then dealing with sanctions while we're at USC, it was really surreal because we couldn't go to bowl games, scholarships were cut, and I had to, you know, make a decision. Am I going to stay or am I going to leave? And I decided to stay, but I went through position changes, injuries, and being a, you know, top 5 recruit in the nation coming out of high school to, you know, all the whispers of if I'm even going to make it to the NFL. It was tough while I was there, and then being away from family. So I feel like I went through some of my most turbulence during those years in every facet, and I came out on the other side stronger, but it was definitely a challenge.
You talked about counting your change there, you know, in college and figuring out how to budget. Is that where your love and kind of knowledge came in for the financial world that you now are so invested in? Literally?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like I was in college and my dream was always to play in the NFL and make a ton of money and do all these things. But I'm in college and I ended up changing positions every year I was in college. I had 3 major surgeries while I was in college, and there was points in time where that got to me. Like, all right, everyone's saying, I'm listening to reports like, oh, he's, you know, is he ever even going to start here? Is he going to play? Can he get drafted? And it's like, well, I want to be successful no matter what. So if it's not football, then how am I going to be successful? How am I going to live the life that I want to live? And those are the questions I started to ask myself. And I started networking and trying to meet as many people as I could and figuring out, you know, who is Devon Kennard outside of the game of football? And that's a question I didn't know. I kind of tethered my identity to the game of football originally without knowing it. And life kind of forced me to realize, like, hey, like, hopefully football works out, but it may not always be there. And who are you and what do you want for your life without it? And once I started asking those questions, it came to me. So where it's like, man, financial literacy and being, you know, Black and brown people and being African-American, there's a huge gap in our financial literacy, in the way that we invest, in the way that we look at money, and our parents teach us about money. And being able to take advantage of my platform as a college athlete and then a professional athlete to get into rooms that most people who look like me can't get into, I started to see how other families and were taught about money. And it's like, man, this is what I want to do for my future kids. This is what I want to kind of spread to people who look like me or look up to me. And that's where that kind of started out for me.
How much do you take that amongst your teammates? And like, do people know to come to you because you're the financial guru and start asking you all the questions, not only being a vet on the field, but, you know, in the locker room too with the guys? Yeah,
I would say, you know, it was a challenge throughout my career because there's this whole like shut up and dribble thing, you know, that's big throughout professional sports, and the expectation of like all we're supposed to be doing is playing football or playing basketball or, you know, whatever it is, and getting out of that notion. And then another challenge for me was you see the star players, the best players on the team, they're on commercials and they're launching ventures and all this stuff. But like, there's like this unwritten rule to where if you're not that guy, you're supposed to be locked in on what you're doing. And, you know, football, eat, sleep, and breathe. And that's all you do. And it dawned on me to where it's like, if I'm not that guy, I need to be doing even more and putting myself in position even more to be successful outside of the game, because I'm not that guy. I'm not making the top value on the team, and I'm not in the position to get those things automatically. So my mindset was always like, all right, well, if he can do it, if the LeBron James, if the Tom Brady can launch Brady brand and do all these things, no, I'm not those guys, but why can't I start to develop a brand and, you know, talk about investments and things in the locker room? And I've had to accept that over time. And one thing I always wanted to prove was it was never going to get in the way of football. Like football is my number one passion, love, and it's what I've done my whole life. And anybody who knows me, who's played with me, knows I take my job very seriously. But hey, like, some guys are playing video games in their spare time. Me, I'm writing a book right now. I'm investing in properties, and that's what I do in my spare time. You know, I respect what you do. Like, can you respect what I do? And now it's definitely to the point where guys are like, oh, DK invest in this and that, or you know, guys will just naturally. I was at the facility before I came here, and in the sauna with a couple of guys, and they're asking me real estate questions because I just posted something about real estate. So I think I've kind of grown into being comfortable with that, and guys actually coming up to me.
So I love that, because honestly, a huge thing in the NFL, you hear like not for long, and I see it. I mean, my years working in the NFL, you see it, you hear the stories of people just depleting, you know, what they have, and to have that literacy and that education and that support is huge, especially amongst your own teammates, because you see, oh, that guy's doing it. Oh, he's doing it too. That's footsteps to follow. So how much pride do you take in that, and just kind of being a voice? You know, if there's a rookie that comes in and asks you the questions, to know that you at least could guide them in the direction that you would recommend.
Yeah, I think the first conversation I have when people kind of come up to me and teammates and stuff is like, the big issue professional athletes have is we earn a lot of money in a short amount of time, but then it stops. And you don't know exactly when it's going to stop, but you create a lifestyle where you're spending however much money a month. And even if you got a bunch of money in the bank, if you have no actual income coming in once it does stop, whenever that is for you, you're spending down the principal that you've been saving up consistently. So you can invest in the stock market, you can invest in other things, and more power to people who do that. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but why I kind of started to gravitate towards savings and financial literacy, and then real estate, is I wanted to build up enough passive income that's coming in monthly that covers the lifestyle that I want to sustain for the rest of my life. So when I am done playing, I'm not scrambling. And you see guys taking jobs they don't necessarily want to take, doing things that they don't want to do, or maybe they made a lot of money, so they're not doing that, but they're just slowly spending down all their money year after year because they have no actual cash flow coming in. I felt like real estate kind of solved that for me, because I can invest in things that's going to give me money monthly, that's going to sustain my life, and not spend down the principal that I've built playing professional football. So I tell guys this all the time, is like, the money you make, whether you can make $1 million or 100 million, you know, save as much as you can and invest it in things that's going to give you cash flow. So when you're done, if you're generating $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month through everything that you've invested in, now you're able to sustain the lifestyle that you created for yourself, and your best days are ahead of you, not behind you.
Yeah, because money doesn't compound in the NFL. Nothing is guaranteed. You get hurt,
exactly,
there's a situation cut, you're just like, you don't want to be in a situation where, okay, well, my lifestyle, I can't sustain this, I can't keep up with this. And people, a lot of times you hear the stories, rookies have to pay for the dinner, for the vets, and you're like, wait, I don't have that kind of money to be doing that. You know, there's just a lot that is put, you know, on the plate essentially for someone, and very overwhelming to come into, I'm sure.
And I don't think guys understand how, like, you see on Sports Center guys signing these contracts, and it looks ridiculous. And I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but I can tell you firsthand, half of it's gone in taxes. You have another 3% taken in agency fees, because the average agency fee is 3%. You have regular lifestyle. If you're making that much money, you're probably driving a nice car. You probably have a nice house. You might have a mom that you're taking care of.
Oh yeah.
So you have all these different things going on, and like, your spending gets high pretty quickly. Even if you're someone who's relatively frugal, like I would consider myself, it's like I still spend far more today than I ever imagined I would 10 years ago. And, you know, you got to account for that as life goes on, and you start to have kids and different things happen.
Your two girls,
yes,
they're going to cost you some things.
Oh man, already. They got me wrapped around their fingers.
They deserve everything, Devon. Never tell them no. That's one thing. For you as a vet in the locker room, amongst the guys, I want to hear, you know, because I mentioned the rookie coming in and having to pay for the dinner, like, kind of like, not the hazing, but
right.
You know. What is a story that you can point back to when you were just starting as a frugal person, knowing, you know, where your money at, and having to maybe, you know, put a little something towards.
Oh man.
So what's a crazy story?
So my rookie dinner was interesting. So I got drafted by the New York Giants. Yeah. I'm playing in New York, and it's the end of the year, and we had a pretty good linebacker group. I loved the guys. Some guys that I'm still friends with till today. But the rookie dinner, they decided that not only were we doing a rookie dinner with our position group, everybody had a girlfriend or wife.
Oh, no.
So they decided that girlfriends and wives were invited to our rookie dinner. So there was 8 of us, and you got to double that number automatically. And then guys are getting bottles of wine that I've never heard of.
You're like counting.
And so in my head, I'm like, I already like raised my credit card limit because I knew it was going to be, a couple $1,000s. But I'm starting to put in my head, and then they're getting Louis the 13th, which I never heard of to that point. And first of all, it's expensive. It's like $500 a shot, but it's disgusting. It's not good. And, so the bill I just see in my head, I'm just racking up. They're getting the most expensive steak, just keeping everything rolling. And there was one other rookie. He wasn't drafted, but he was undrafted, but was active most of the year. So I said, I'll pay 3/4 of the bill, but you have to pay a quarter of it. I feel like that's fair. Well, the bill comes and it ends up being $7,700, and his credit card conveniently, he only had to pay 1/3 of it. And his credit card was conveniently not working. Yeah. And so I'm stuck paying the whole bill, and then plus tax, and they're getting on me like, make sure you tax gratuity. So it's like, make sure you tip well and all that. So
it was just you.
So I end up covering in with gratuity. I almost paid $10,000 for the rookie dinner, and I'm fuming. I've never spent that much money in my life up to that point. So I'm fuming, and this guy's supposed to be covering, 3 of it plus some of the gratuity. And
that's tough though when you're like the only rookie on the roster essentially for that position group.
So yeah, that was not fun, but I took it to the chin. That dude till this day, if I ever run the other rookie, he disappeared on me, and he still owed me some money. So I'm coming for you. If I run into you, I want my money, man.
10,000 on a dinner. No,
that was not fun.
If I remember, you like drove the same car for a long time, right?
So yeah, when I got drafted, the same car I drove all high school, I brought to USC, and then I took it to the NFL. And the thing I always said was, I don't know how long I was going to play. I was a 5th round draft pick, so I was like, so I'm going to save as much as I can. I drove that car, and I didn't get a new car until I got a sponsorship for 2 years with the dealership, and they gave me a car to drive for free to post on social media. I drove that for 2 years, and then I bought my first car once I got my first bigger deal when I signed with the Detroit Lions, and that was the first time I spent money on a vehicle. And I don't regret it. It was humbling. Wow. I'm pulling up in my little Kia Sorrento, and I'm on the team with Damon Harrison, who was a big guy, D tackle, Eli Manning, Odell Beckham. There's some heat in the like Rolls Royce, Ferrari, all these cars, and I'm pulling up in my Kia Sorrento.
Did they ever poke a little fun at you?
Like, guys would be like, bro, you got to get a new whip. Like
Kia Kennard.
Yeah, but I'm like, man, I'm gonna wait, and I'm glad I did though.
Yeah, we ended up getting and graduating from USC with a master's degree in like super speed, right? Like 3 years was it that you like your undergrad, and then a year or so with your master's. So a thing or two about business. But did you know that you always wanted to like be an entrepreneur, start your own business, aside from obviously football?
I wouldn't say I always knew. I was in college trying to figure it out, because while all that,
aren't we all?
Yeah, while all that discomfort and all the changing positions, the injuries were happening, I was trying to kind of sort through. I thought I would get into broadcast and do some of the things we're doing now.
You did a really good job the other day. You did the broadcast boot camp.
Yeah. Went to the broadcast boot camp. So I thought that would be the main thing that I would do. But I met a mentor, and he was a USC alumni who was on the basketball team way back in the day, and became a police officer. And then after he became a police officer in LA, he started to patrol certain neighborhoods, and he bought a property, lived in it, renovated it, ended up moving out, buying another property, kept that property, and he's like kept going down that road, and to the point where he ended up having over 1,000 units and was managing his properties. And he was kind of telling me his story and the trajectory. And then that was the first time where I kind of got interested in real estate specifically, because I'm like, this guy was able to build that off of a police officer's salary, and now he owns thousands of units in LA. So my mindset was like, if he can do it, why can't I? Yeah. And the concept of, providing people a place to live and a place to call home, that's comforting. I've always had a giving heart and wanted to like kind of protect and shelter and give to people. And so that's where my first spark in kind of real estate peaked. And then once I got into the NFL, I just kept learning more about it and started growing my portfolio.
And you and your wife Camille now running things. How many properties now? Do you know?
Yeah, I own 21 properties,
wow, awesome.
Kind of all over the place throughout the United States. I want to buy more here, but this market is crazy right now. So trying to find the hidden gems, but yeah.
Find me a house first. Okay. So tell me a little bit about, you've always been into education and reading. Tell me about this book club that you started. I hate to say that I have not joined in as your friend to your book club. I'm a mom of three.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I do love reading. So tell me a little bit about how you came up with this idea. 2017, is that when it originated? Yeah. Okay, so how you came up with this idea and just what it all entails.
Yeah, so it's called Reading with DK, and it's my book club. And essentially, I was like, man, there's so many people into so many things now, but I feel like reading is such a pivotal thing that's impacted my life and can change the life of so many people. And being in my position, I feel like I have a unique set of interests. Like I like reading, I like real estate, and those things aren't uncommon, but in my space, they kind of are. So to be in my position and promoting the things that I'm really interested in seemed of value, being a professional athlete, and I'm telling kids and even adults like, hey, read this book with me. I felt like there was value there. And I've always chosen books that I feel like push people forward, and whether it's personal or finance or business minded, a lot of my books have been in that direction just because I want people who might not originally read those kind of books, but like me or recognize that I'm an athlete. So maybe pick it up and, can hopefully change their life or spark something in them that sends them down a different direction that they didn't expect. And I think that's what I've always kind of wanted to do with my platform. So that's where it kind of originated. And now it kind of led into partnerships with nonprofit organizations and after school programs. Everywhere I've played, I've tried to work with after school programs because I feel like it starts with our kids, and especially in inner cities, to kind of give them more opportunities and allow and put them in a space where they're seeing the world differently than the lens that they see every day. And I think reading can do that. And allowing myself to go into those rooms and teach kids this stuff and encourage them to read books has been, very empowering for me.
So how does it work? You have a book club, people can join in every month?
So I do it periodically, at least 3 or 4 times a year. I choose a book and I pretty much post it online, tell everyone the kind of book that we're going to be reading, and get as many people to join in as I can. And then once you start reading it, I start to post questions, and I ask people to comment in my comment section on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. Comment your responses to my questions, and you enter a chance to win. And it's usually something, if it's during football season, I'll give tickets or jerseys or something along those lines. And if it's in the off season, it's other kind of cool memorabilia or stuff just to encourage people to read. And I think it kind of asks people to ask questions of themselves that, all right, how can you be critical? You're reading this book, but how does it impact your life? It's not like a book report where I'm like, what did so-and-so say right here? It's like, what's something you could change in your life by reading this portion of the book? How did that impact you? And hopefully just spark something to where people kind of, the book, not only, they didn't just read it, but it helped change them.
I love that. Now your love for reading has expanded. Now you're going to be an author, right? You're writing your own book, which is so exciting. Can you tell us a bit about that and when it's going to launch too?
Yeah, so I have a book coming out April 18th, so keep a lookout.
Final date.
Yes, I'm extremely excited, and it's a book essentially, about my life and my financial journey, and I hope to connect with anyone who is on a financial path and trying to figure out where to go and how to become financially free. Because, I think we live in a society where the financial, or where like the whole American dream that we've been taught is failing so many people. but we're taught to teach our kids to go down the same rat race and live the same life. And you know, my book is essentially about that, how to get out of the American rat race and create your own American dream, and how I feel like I've been able to do that in my journey throughout my NFL career on doing that for myself. And I'm extremely excited. It's going to be called It All Adds Up.
I was just going to ask, It All Adds Up. I love that.
It All Adds Up. And coming out April 18th. So hopefully I'll be back on promoting the book.
Yes. How has that process been like for you though? Just diving into, did you ever think you would be writing a book one day? Was that something that was always on the forefront of your mind in your journey? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like that whole manifest, and I was talking about, like, I went to Aki Mall here in Arizona. It feeds into Desert Vista, and I got like student athlete of the week once, and I said I wanted to go to USC and graduate and play in the NFL, and I did that. And manifestation is so powerful, and I just randomly said I one day want to write a book. And I like my marketing team that I work with, I kind of put that out there one day, and they put some feelers out. I met an agent. I kind of explained the concept, and one thing fell into another. I partnered with HarperCollins, get a book deal with them, and next thing I know, I'm legitimately writing a book, and it's being released. And it just goes to show when there's something you want to do, put it out into the universe, and it could seem so hard and so far away, but just take steps in that direction every day. And like it was something I always wanted to do, but to be honest with you, I can't believe it's actually happening. Yeah. Like, I'm like, wow, I'm really about to be an author. And I think it's a great story of just putting your dreams out there and walking faithfully in that direction. And you'll be amazed, at where you can end up.
I will read that book. I promise you that. I cannot wait for that. So April 18th.
April 18th
is the launch. Now, you talked about manifestation. I know we all did as your friends, but did you ever think that you'd be playing in your hometown team for the Arizona? Did you ever put that out in the universe?
That was one thing I did not, to be honest.
I did. So maybe
you did it. I always thought it would be awesome, but that just seemed like, all right, making it to the NFL is cool enough.
Yeah, just take wherever.
But playing like in my home state, and ironically, I mean, life just works in mysterious ways. Right before I bought our long-term home back in Ahwatukee, Arizona, that's when tragedy turns into triumph. I was with the Detroit Lions, and I had two of my best seasons in the league. I was a team captain, Walter Payton Man of the Year, finalist, all these things, and I'm thinking I'm going to be in Detroit probably the rest of my career. I'm in negotiations for a new deal, and they signed somebody else, didn't think they could pay me, and cut me out of the blue. And I was shocked, but almost immediately, a week later, I'm signing a contract with the Arizona Cardinals a few days after I just bought my long-term home, which is 15-20 minutes away from the facility. And I'm like, wow, God did, as DJ Khaled said in his most recent song. But I'm like, I couldn't make this up. Like the sequence of events, and as hurt as I was about the Detroit situation, to land on my feet in Arizona, playing in my hometown around all my friends who are Arizona Cardinals fans, it's been awesome. It's been an incredible ride.
I remember that because at the time I was working for the Cardinals, and I was texting you like, bro, you're about to be an Arizona Cardinal. Like, you're like, well,
it's really.
I was like, we need you to come over here. That was seriously such a highlight, as someone just from the outside in, as a friend, family so excited. I mean, Akimal, DV, this is all that we represent, honestly, to this day. So it's really cool just to.
It's cool to note that you were with the Cardinals at the time, and they were best friends since middle school, and really now we're like.
But it was during the pandemic, so I was like,
we couldn't even see each other that much. Yeah,
hug you and be like, oh my god, interview you. Like, everything was through Zoom. I'm like, I know you're like 2 minutes away from me, but let's just talk about what it's like to be signing here with the Cardinals. So yeah, it was really just full circle. And then Byron Murphy also,
and then Christian Kerr
at the
local
time,
guy,
local guy. So I love everyone just comes back home, back in the Toque. You don't have to worry about that LA.
Those neighborhoods. I'm glad to be home. I ain't got to worry about all that anymore.
For me, it's interesting, as we talk about your career and the highs and the lows. How much has that prepared you for life, or do you believe it will prepare you for life after football in the entrepreneurial space as you keep grinding?
I think it's prepared me exceptionally well, because I've faced a lot of adversity, and I've been punched in the mouth several times throughout my career, and one thing that I gain confidence in is, one, I'm highly favored. I feel like God has a shield of protection over me, and He's always put me in a good place. And two, I'm hard to kill. So, I'm gonna keep swinging. I'm gonna keep coming. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. And when it's all said and done, I'm confident that I'll be in a good place because of those two things. I'm gonna keep swinging, and I know I'm highly favored, and I think that's gonna go well for me in any endeavor that I pursue. And He also gives me confidence that I'm not afraid to pursue any of my dreams, because, when you have the confidence of those two things kind of backing you, it's like, all right, I'll attack it. So I look forward to the rest of my career. I'm in year 9.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. I was in college people saying they don't know if I'll even have an NFL career. And I've signed, 3 major deals with 3 different organizations, and put together a really solid career that I'm proud of, and, still going.
9 years, but it ain't over yet. Let's remind people where they can follow you in your journey.
Please, at Devon Kennard on all social media, and my website is devonkennard.com as well. And keep a lookout. Please subscribe to my newsletter as well. And my book will be out April 18th. So check it out. It all adds up.
Yes, I cannot wait for that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our podcast.
All that. I'm going to get some gear. I'm signing up to everything. I'm staying 48
We're
out.
We're going to have to collab on some of these things. I have a t-shirt design I'm drawing up in my head. I'm not the artist here. I don't make the t-shirts, but stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Devon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.